So at the beginning of the game, I usually like to make a game plan. I'm wondering, did you make a game plan this game?
I cannot say that I did.
Okay, well let's make one now, anyways. So
Okay.
um, here I'll show you how to make a game plan. So how I usually make a game plan is I look at the matchups. So let's
Mhm.
look at the matchups, and I usually start with. It doesn't matter which one you start with, but I usually start with the jungle matchup. So let's think about this jungle matchup. What do you think about this jungle matchup?
I find John pretty spooky, personally.
Hmm. Okay,
Um, but I
Jarvan's
guess
pretty
it's
good.
not
Jarvan's
bad
pretty good.
considering I
Yeah.
can hop up walls and stuff.
Okay. When I say jungle match, I mean just mean you versus him. Yeah, are you afraid of him?
You
Just you and him.
just me and him.
Yeah.
A little bit, but I guess with my ultimate, not a whole lot.
Okay. I wouldn't be scared of Jarvan in most cases, because if you think about how you fight him. If you save your Q, it's hard for him to hit his EQ.
Hmm.
So if you dodge his EQ with your Q, then you just kite him, or you can run away. Like he's not too threatening to you. Just him. I mean, just him. And then the same with his ultimate. You're not really afraid of his ultimate. You can just Q out of his ultimate, and also, like you said, you
Hmm.
can ult in his ultimate if you need to. You have a lot of options to deal with Jarvan. Um,
Hmm.
what I would be afraid of is Jarvan's ganks are much better than Kindred's ganks. So I would be afraid of Jarvan killing your laners, but not killing you, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, okay, and I'm curious, why do you always go press the attack?
Yeah, typically I go press the attack.
Okay. Kindred's pretty flexible in that she can. There are three main runes for her. I think you know them, but there's Press the Attack, there's Conquer, and there's Lethal Tempo.
Hmm.
Press the Attack is generally good against in short fights, so generally against squishy champions. Like it's good against Morgana, it's good against Misfortune. What it's not good against is longer fights or tankier champions. So it's not that good against Silas, not that good against Jarvan, and it's good against Kale early game. But once Kale gets level 6, then it's not that good against Kale.
So should I have taken Conquerors instead into this
Yeah,
game?
yeah, this one for sure. I would have gone Conquer this game.
Okay.
Conquer is good. Conquer is, I believe, it's her most popular rune. So most games Conquer. Then there are some games you go Press the Attack, and some games you go Lethal Tempo. But most games you would go Conqueror.
Hmm.
Um, okay, that's okay though, and not the end of the world if you go the wrong rune. Like all three runes are pretty good: Lethal Tempo, Conqueror, and Press the Attack. Okay, so we talked about jungle matchup because I, as a Kindred, would not be afraid of the Jarvan. At least in a 1v1 sense, I would be afraid that he would gank your laners, but not be afraid of him.
Hmm.
Because you just kite him so well if you play it properly. If you dodge his EQ, he should never really hit EQ on you because it's kind of a slow animation. He has to throw his E first, then he Qs in. Like it's kind of slow. So, um,
Hmm.
and you see it coming. You see wherever you see the flag, you just Q away from the flag, and he can't do anything. Um, yeah, so that's that. Okay, so that's the jungle matchup. Basically, I not don't be afraid of Jarvan, but be afraid he'll gank. Now let's look at the top matchup. How do you understand Riven versus Kale?
I guess Kayla's a pretty bad early game champion, as far
Yep,
as I'm aware.
yep. She's like one of the worst top laners early
Yeah.
game. Yeah. So
So would ganking Riven early be a good thing to do?
usually not, because let me explain why. So because Kale is so bad, Riven should just win the lane for free, and Riven should be pushing Kale into her tower. So Kale should be just sitting at her tower in the early game, right? Because Kale
Hmm.
can't fight Riven. Kale can't fight Riven because, like you said, Kale's pretty weak. So Kale just has to give up the wave and let Riven push into her, and Kale will just sit at tower. Usually that's the case. Um,
Yeah.
so with that said, like it's hard to gank Kale if she's sitting at her tower, right? So that's
Yeah.
why I wouldn't. There is one option you can do though, is and generally I only recommend it in higher elo, is you can dive Kale. So Kale will be at her tower, And then Riven will have a lot of minions. So you plus Riven plus a lot of minions, you can dive Kayle. Kayle's really weak. She doesn't have any tools. She has one heal and one slow. That's all she has. And a flash. So it's pretty easy to dive Kayle. You only do this if you know where Jarvan is. So, let's say you know Jarvan started red buff, then he's going bot lane, then you can go top and you can dive the Kayle. That's the only time I would recommend doing that. But again, it's kind of hard in low elo because not many people know how to dive. So maybe you know how to dive, but Riven doesn't, or maybe Riven wants to dive, but you don't know how to dive. Like it's a tricky thing to do, but it is an option. Okay, so top matchup we learn probably don't gank early. Jungle matchup we learn not afraid of Jarvan, but afraid of his ganks. Let's look at mid lane. How do you understand Gangplank versus Sylas?
I'm not too familiar with the general matchup.
Okay.
My guess is that Sylas wins earlier.
To be fair, I'm not very familiar with this matchup either, but we can you make a theory. So Gangplank usually does okay in the mid lane, but so does Sylas. Yeah, I'd give it. I'd say this is kind of even, honestly. Except for one thing, like if 1v1, I think they're pretty even here. I think Gangplank might slightly win if it's just a 1v1, but mid lane is never a 1v1 because mid lane is the easiest lane for both junglers to gank, right? Because it's in the middle of the map. So I would favor their Sylas when we account for junglers, because Gangplank has no dashes or anything like that. So it's pretty easy for Jarvan to gank Gangplank. And you turn it around, it's pretty hard for you to gank Sylas. You plus Gangplank, you don't have any real CC. You have some slows, that's it. And Sylas has technically 3 dashes, but realistically he has 1 dash. He can E away. He can also E in, but that if he wants to go in, he can go in. If he wants to go in, he has 3 dashes. If he wants to run away, he has 1 dash. So pretty hard to gank Sylas for you. Pretty easy for them to gank Gangplank. So this lane is one you would plan to protect but not gank, if that makes sense. So my plan so far would be protect Gangplank, leave Riven alone. That's kind of my plan right now from what we discussed. So how do you protect Gangplank? There's two main things you can do. One is you can leave wards for him. So you keep a yellow ward and you ward around mid lane. There's like the bushes near mid lane, things like that. So you can protect Gangplank from Jarvan with your wards. The second thing you can do is you can try to invade Jarvan to see where he is. So if you invade Jarvan, you are like the living ward. You're like a moving ward in that case, that you're spotting out where is Jarvan. And if you do it properly, then you can guess where he is. You know where he is, or you can guess where he is, and then you can warn Gangplank of ganks. That would be my strategy for concerning mid lane. Is I'm not really ganking Sylas. Jarvan and Sylas is really strong together, 2 of them, compared to Kindred Gangplank. So you don't want to fight mid, but you need to kind of protect him if you can. It really is not your responsibility to, because Gangplank's kind of a weird mid pick. But if you can protect him, you can try to do that. Okay. And then lastly, we look at the bot lane matchup. How do you understand the bot? So bot lane where it's a 2v2. How do you understand this 2v2?
I guess with the champions in bot lane, I'd say that our bot lane kind of wins this one. They have 3 bits of crowd control as opposed to 1.
Yeah, but Leona is very strong crowd control. And one thing you probably didn't know is actually Morgana countered Leona. So Yeah, I don't blame you for doing that. But yeah, Morgana counters Leona because whoever Leona like tries to go on, Morgana can just black shield that person, and then Leona cannot CC anything. Like anything Leona tries, Morgana just presses E, her black shield, and Leona kind of does nothing. So because of that, and there's another thing, another factor is your bot lane is ranged melee versus their bot lane, which is ranged. So 2 ranged versus ranged melee. Typically, the lane with double ranged wins early game because 2 ranged champions are stronger than ranged melee level 1. Think about level 1. Leona doesn't do anything level 1. She needs at least level 2 to do something. But how do you get level 2? And as a laner, you need to push. You need to kill more minions. Right? You need to push. You need to kill them faster than the enemy can do that. And it's easier for 2 ranged champions to kill the minions than it is for a ranged melee because Morgana and Miss Fortune can hit the minions really safely. But if Leona tries to hit the minions, Morgana and Miss Fortune can like hit her for free. So it's usually the melee support can't hit the minions, and that's why double range is stronger early game. So knowing that means early game, the enemy bot lane will push into your bot lane, and that means, well, it means 2 things. Well, one thing is you can maybe gank bot lane because they'll be pushing, right? Miss Fortune and Morgana will be pushing, so maybe you can gank them. It's similar to the top lane, right? You can't gank Kayle because Kayle will sit at her tower, but bot lane is the opposite. You can gank bot lane because your bot lane will be at their tower. So it's kind of the opposite if you think about it like that. So you have several options here. I would definitely recommend. Let me think. I think the most conservative but reliable plan here would be to just gank bot early, or at least path to gank bot. So my plan would be like start blue buff, blue Gromp wolves, red buff, and then look for a bot gank, something like that. That's a pretty conservative plan, but reliable plan. Do you play a lot of Kindred? How many Kindred games do you have?
I think I have like 70,000 mastery points.
Okay, a lot. So do you? I'm guessing. Do you know about her cheesy invades?
Yes, so like jump of a drink.
Yeah, red buff into blue buff, like that. Your red buff into yeah. You could try that. I don't know if you do it this game.
No.
No, yeah, it is dangerous this game because of what I said. So what I said is the enemy bot lane will easily push early game. So if you invade his blue buff, Miss Fortune and Morgana can help him much faster than your bot lane. And mid lane, I think GP slightly wins, but it's very slight. But if you're talking about fighting in the jungle, Sylas is way better than Gangplank in like a jungle fight. So if you try to invade the blue and Sylas comes and Gangplank comes, the Sylas is way more useful. So that's why I don't really recommend doing the cheese path this game. Like you could, red into blue. I don't really recommend it. It could work, especially in low elo, it could work, but I would not recommend it this game. Because, like I said, the mid lane and the bot lane, the enemy mid lane and bot lane are better than your mid lane bot lane in this game. So that's why I like the very conservative path of just you do your blue buff, you go down, and you just gank bot. Pretty simple, nothing fancy. And that would be my plan, because I know Riven can handle, like Jarvan Kayle, I don't think can kill Riven, like, because Kayle does nothing, and Riven has so many dashes that she shouldn't be able to get ganked by Jarvan. So you can feel confident that you can leave Riven alone, she'll be fine. You just go bot lane where you can possibly kill them, because you do have Leona that maybe can CC someone. I mean, we said Morgana has Black Shield, yes, but at least they'll be pushing, so that would be the best plan. Yeah. Oh, okay. Do you have any questions? So that's the game plan. Like, this is like, this is You know how we talked for like 15 minutes or something, but really it only takes it doesn't take it only like if I don't have to speak it out loud, like you like do it in your head. You can do this while you're in champ select. You can do this while the game is loading. You know, the loading screen, and you kind of make a plan. And you know, this is my plan. I'm not saying you must do my plan. Like many plans can work, but after my analysis, like that's the plan. Yeah. And then I remember you said you didn't make a game plan. I'm just showing you how you can try to make one by just thinking about the matchups. Yeah. So any questions or not really?
Well, the only question I had was, wouldn't a melee champion be able to push better because of the support item?
Oh, that is a factor, yes, but the support item is like an execute, right? So they have to, the minion still has to be kind of low, and then so it really depends. Like if they do that, while the bot lane like the range champions are hitting like Leona, then it's not really worth it. But yeah, they could do that to try to contest it. Sometimes it works, but most of the time it's not worth it for the melee champion. So they usually melee champions, they just give it up. They just give up the push. You let Misfortune, Morgana push, because you can let them get level 2. That doesn't mean your bot lane loses. It means they lose level 2, but they can get level 3, level 4. So usually when melee champions get to their level 3, level 4, especially level 6, that's when melee champions start to become a threat. Like they can start to win the lane. So when I said range champions win the lane, it's typically just levels 1, 2, maybe 3. But after that, the lane becomes more playable for your bot lane. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. That is a factor, and sometimes it works, but usually not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Oh no, that's it.
Okay. So let's start. You can press play. I mean, I don't know what your plan is. We can just see what you do, and then I'll make some comments.
Is there anything else I should be changing here?
No. You could just press play. Yeah. And you can do like you can change the speed to 2 times at some times, and then but sometimes I'll ask you to make it 1 times, because right now nothing's happening. So 2 is fine right now. No, we didn't talk about invades, but that's another topic. I don't know if you don't need to touch that. You can manually move the camera. You see, like you can. Okay. Well, we might have to talk about invades now. So, okay, press pause. I'll talk about invades. So that's another topic. Another topic that I didn't even cover was invades, right? So, yes, you have to think about who is going to invade, or should you invade, or you should think about should the enemy invade. So, I like to be aggressive. So let's talk about should your team invade. When you think about invading, you need to think about who is strong level 1. So let's think about it. Riven versus Kayle. Riven is stronger level 1. Like Riven's very strong level 1 because her Q, she can like, there's like so many different Q casts, and she's very mobile with it, and it does a lot of damage for a level 1 champion. So that's good. Kindred versus Jarvan. Kindred's better than Jarvan level 1, especially if you level Q. I know Kindred usually likes to start W for her level 1. But if you're going for like an invade or something, or a level 1 fight, you should definitely consider a Q start. Like a Q start is really good for your invades, and it's not bad for your clear. Like if you get a leash and you have Q, like you'll still clear it pretty much almost the same time as if you started the W. So Kindred with Q level 1, very strong. Compared to Jarvan, Jarvan doesn't do anything level 1. He needs level 2, right? He needs his E, Q, the flag, and then the spear thing. So Jarvan level 1 is garbage. Kayle level 1 is garbage. You guys are winning in that sense. Now let's look at Gangplank versus Sylas. Gangplank does nothing level 1. He shoots once, that's it. But Sylas is very strong level 1. Sylas has his E, his dash once, dash twice. It has a knock-up stun thing. So Sylas level 1 is very strong. It's okay, so 2 of your guys are strong. Top and jungle are strong, mid weak. Look at Xayah versus Misfortune. They're pretty similar. They both don't really do anything, but I like Misfortune a little better. Misfortune has better range, and if she any of her spells are better level 1, honestly. She could get Q, W, E. They're all better. The E is definitely her strongest level 1 ability if Misfortune starts with E. It's like the AoE slow kind of thing. So Misfortune wins there. And then Leona versus Morgana. Morgana's definitely stronger level 1 with her Q. It's like a ranged route. Leona has E, which is similar to Morgana's, but not as good because the range is shorter, and it puts Leona in danger. Like if Leona E's, she uses her body, right, to go in. But if Morgana Q's, Morgana doesn't risk anything. Her body is way back there. So yeah, so we can see that you and Riven are strong level 1, but the rest of you are not. And then so you should be afraid of invades because, right, they have 3 people to your 2, 3 strong level 1 people to your 2. So you should be a little afraid. And you see the ward that you put a ward topside right there. It's okay. I mean you can put yeah, that's okay. Honestly, the problem with invades is it's not entirely in your control. Like you can't invade by yourself, and you can't defend invades by yourself. It's a team effort. So the only thing I would have done is like ping or type to my team like, be careful, they might invade. Or I would ping like, maybe we need vision in the bot side, something like that. One other option you could do is you could have invaded Jarvan's red buff level 1, because you're stronger than Jarvan and Riven's stronger than Kayle, and most likely who is going to be at the red buff? It's Jarvan, Kayle, maybe Sylas. So you could have invaded Jarvan's red buff because, remember, your strong level 1 is top side, their strong level 1 is bot side. So that's an option. In the really, really high elos, like, that's not really an option, because in the really, really high elos, they like to invade as 5 people. So they might send 5 people bot, or they might even send 5 people top. You never know in higher elos. So in higher elos, you would just be defensive. So like the ward you did was pretty good, but you need your team to guard. Yeah, again, it's not your fault. They didn't guard, but So right now in the game, you know that they are at your red, I believe. You saw them. Yeah, you saw them. And then what are you thinking of doing now?
What am I thinking of doing?
Yeah, so you ran away, right?
Well, I just recalled, and I'm moving my way up here.
Oh, but you already saw them? I don't remember if you saw them yet, or.
Yeah, I saw them.
But you saw them bot, and you. Oh, I see. Oh, you warded top. You recalled, and you saw them here. So what are you thinking now, though?
No, I guess I was thinking of contesting for.
Okay.
Fighting it out.
Okay, but based on what I said, right, you should not contest this because, again...
Yeah, it makes sense that I should not contest it now.
Your Riven's the strong one. Where is your Riven? Your Riven's up there. Yeah. So the correct play would be to either start your blue buff, ask for Riven to leash you, or even you can try starting his red buff. Like, Kayle can't really stop you. Remember, Kayle's really weak, so you give up this bottom side and you do something top. So again, your blue buff or his red buff. I prefer the blue buff because it's safer. Like, no one can bother you, right? If you try to take his red buff, Kayle could bother you, Sylas could bother you, and it gets kind of annoying. So it's definitely safer to do your blue buff, but right after blue buff, then you can go to his red buff, because there's a lower chance that they'll bother you when you do it second, because they have minions to farm, right? They don't want to give up their farm in the lane. So I recommend your blue to his red. Yeah. Okay, well, you can play it now, and let's see what happens. I don't think anything good will happen here. Yeah, so, you guys just can't do anything. Like, okay, they actually might have left, which would be really lucky for you. Okay, really lucky for you. Okay, but oh, never mind. Let's see what you do. pretty nice. Nice. You defended your Gangplank through a counter gank. Okay, can you do 1 time speed now? It's too fast.
Okay. Do you want me to rewind a little bit? Is it? Okay.
Yeah. You see that there's a rewind button next to the play button?
Yeah.
One more time.
Well,
Nice try. I mean, this works out for you. Let me tell you, I wouldn't have done Raptors here, but it works out for you because Silas comes back. Did you get the Raptors? Never mind.
no, I just kind of left them.
Never mind. It's a small thing. Can I see Gangplank? Actually, can you pause for a sec? Oh yeah, can you pause for a sec? And then can I look at Riven? Okay, so can I look at you again?
This.
Okay. I'll tell you what I'm thinking. You're fine. I'll just tell you what I'm thinking. So, if you were healthier, you're kind of low right here. So if you were healthier, I would have gone for Jarvan's Krugs. So because Jarvan, I mean, technically, we know Jarvan is recalled, right? Because you almost killed him. You didn't kill him. He's like 1 HP. So he recalled. Mm-hmm. And where is he going to go after he recalls? Probably the red buff. I don't think you have time to take the red buff before he gets there. But you have time to take like Krugs if he goes red buff first, right? If Jarvan goes to red buff, he won't see you at the Krugs. It depends where you place your W, right? But you place your W so it doesn't show on the red buff, right? If you know what I mean. So if you do that, you can probably take the Krugs before he takes the Raptors, and when you finish the Krugs, you will probably finish the Krugs before he finishes the red buff, because you started first, right? And you also have Smite to help you speed it up. So you'll take the Krugs before he takes the red, and after you take the Krugs, then you can go to the red buff and 1v1 him there. But it doesn't have to be a 1v1. I would have. I know it's low elo, so maybe not, but I would have pinged my Riven to help me invade the red buff. So you see your Riven up there?
Mm-hmm.
She's, like we said, Kale's no match for Riven early game at least. Look at, she has all those. I mean, she's actually doing a really bad job in CSing Riven, but you know that's not the point. The point is that Riven has all these minions. Riven is pushing into Kale. What happens when the minions go to the tower? Riven has nothing to do, right? So Riven has nothing to do. She actually has something to do. She could help you invade the Jarvan, because first of all, you don't you 1v1 Jarvan. Okay, the main reason the main trouble is that your HP is kind of low. Actually, though, that's the main problem. So if you had full HP, you could definitely 1v1 the Jarvan, but because you're kind of low, and Jarvan, he recalled, so he's going to be healthy. That 1v1 might not be that easy, but it's still kind of easy, because if Jarvan is doing the red buff, it's most likely that his E is on cooldown, right? When he does the buff, he's going to use his abilities, probably his E, probably his Q. I mean, his Q is a low cooldown, but his E is a long cooldown. If his E is down, he cannot EQ you, right? He cannot knock you up. He cannot run into you. And also, Jarvan is level 2, while you are level 3. Because when you killed Silas, you got level 3. But Jarvan, you notice he has 8 CS. He only did 2 camps. He needs 1 more camp. He needs to do the red buff, or he needs to do Krugs to get level 3. So you have a level advantage on him. So you have several advantages going for you, which is your level advantage. You have the element of surprise, right? If he's doing the red buff, he's used his cooldowns on the red buff. And then like the last advantage I said was you have Riven to help you. Again, I know it's... Sorry, I forgot what it is. Bronze, right?
Yeah, bronze.
Bronze, yeah. I know it's bronze, so there's a good chance Riven doesn't help you. I know that. But she might, because what else is Riven going to do? I would like spam ping Riven, assist, and then spam ping like the red buff. Like you ping once on Riven, like on top of her, so she sees, and then you ping like the red buff, and you never know. Sometimes she might move and she might come to help you. Yeah. There is one other thing you kind of have to worry about, which is Silas, but that's why you look at Gangplank. Gangplank is low, right? Look at him. Gangplank. He's low, but so he won't really help you in this invade, but he did help you push the wave. So this is deterring Silas from helping Jarvan. Silas doesn't want to help Jarvan. Silas wants to kill these minions. So yeah, Silas might help Jarvan, which would be a problem for you. But if Silas helps Riven, if Silas helps Jarvan, he will lose all these minions. So if he helps and you run away, then you win. I mean, your team wins because Silas loses the minions and you guys lose nothing. So that's kind of the play I'm thinking. But let's look at you right now. Like I don't blame you because you're pretty low HP, and the invade only really works if Riven helps you. If Riven doesn't help you, you can't 1v1 Jarvan right now. Just because he recalled. So yeah, I'm just sharing some thoughts with you, like how to think about the game, especially as Kindred. Kindred is one of the best invading junglers in the game. So yeah, I mean you took his Raptors, so that's good. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, press play.
Is it times 2 it?
Oh yeah, for now. Yeah. So unfortunately, your mark's down there, right? But here you should look at Jarvan. Oh, I mean, I don't know. Did you? I'm wondering in the game. Did you look at Jarvan?
I did not.
Okay, so you look at him because you want to see if he has red buff. If you looked at him, like right now we could cheat because the replay shows us the map. Like he actually did not take red buff. So if you notice that, you could actually invade his red buff right now. Let's see what you do. Can you? Yeah, no. Can you pause it? And go back 15. Okay, so at this point right now, Jarvan already ganked mid, right? So if you looked at Jarvan when he ganked mid, you would have seen he has no red buff. And also, I forgot who, but one of your bot laners hit the plant bot side. They hit the plant. I don't know who. I guess Leona, but they hit the plant and they saw Jarvan doing wolves. And if you looked again and you saw Jarvan no red buff on the wolves, then you can deduce that his red buff's up, right? So with that information, you're already topside. Look at where you are. You just jump over the Baron wall, take the red buff, because you also see it looks like your mark is on the bottom crab, right? It looks like Jarvan wants to get the mark. He doesn't want you to get the mark, so he's doing the bot crab. So you have all this time to take his red buff during this time. Like it sucks you don't get the bot crab, but what you do get is the red buff, and not only the red buff, you probably get the Krugs too, because no one is topside right now. They're all. Well, I don't know where Silas is, but most likely they're all like bot side right now. So other than Kale, remember we don't care about Kale. Kale's really weak until level 6 and late game. So that's free red buff, free Krugs, and then you recall. Let's see what you do. Actually, you're around the area. Okay, yeah, you go mid. That's the problem. No, nothing's mid right now, right? Oh, you're going. Oh, you think the mark's still there?
No, I thought Silas, because I saw Silas poke through mid.
Oh.
So I was waiting for him to come through mid.
Were you trying to gank Silas?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And remember what we said in the game plan is usually you don't want to gank mid because you and Gangplank, you don't do anything like in terms of like kill. It's really hard to kill Silas. So most of the time, ignore mid if you can. I mean, other than like counter ganking, like you did originally, that was really good. Counter gank Jarvan, but usually you don't want to start the gank. Yeah. Okay, can I see you? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, go back. Can you go back 15 and then make it
Okay.
1 times? And make it 1 time speed. Okay. Oh, I see. You're trying to.
I was clearing up water.
I see. So Jarvan came through the bush, I think? Can you
I'm actually not sure.
Hey, replay one more time, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, this is your pause right here, Right here. So he's actually in this bush right here. You never actually checked this bush. So as you were going to the river, I would have stepped into the bush to see if someone's there. If you're afraid of the bush too, it looks like you're not afraid of the bush because you just walk past it. But
I thought I stepped into it admittedly, but I didn't.
Oh, okay, yeah. Another tip is if you're afraid of the bush, you can press your W. Your wolf can go into the bush to give you vision of it. So you can do that. But here, I don't think you need to be afraid because the only people that could be there is Jarvan, maybe Silas, most likely not Silas. I mean, maybe Morgana, but also most likely that she shouldn't be there. So the only person I think might be there is Jarvan, because you hit the plant, right? But the plant didn't actually go into this bush that you passed. You only hit it towards the dragon. So another tip could have been you hit the plant so it shows this bush. Like you can choose where the plant goes, right, based on where you stand. So I would have hit it. To be honest, I wouldn't have even hit it. Like, can I ask you why did you hit this plant? The vision plant?
Well, I wanted to clear down here so I knew whether Morgana and Misfortune were coming up or not.
No, wait, but why did you want to go down here? Well, what's down here?
To clear the wall. After I placed this down, I cleared this twice so that I knew if it was safe to clear this or not.
Oh, I see. So this ward that they have doesn't really matter, especially because you have this pink ward. That's your pink ward, right? Or a control ward. So
yeah,
the control ward is already denying this ward. You know how it works? Like that ward right there, it doesn't give them any vision as long as you have your control ward. So really, it's not doing anything. So it shouldn't be a concern to you, at least right now. Like what I'm basically saying is it really doesn't matter. Like sure, it's like 30 gold or this ward is telling the enemy that you have a control ward here. Yeah, but that's it. It's not really doing anything. But what you're doing by coming here, by clearing this ward, you are telling the enemy where you are. By hitting the plant, you're telling the enemy where you are, right? Technically, even by throwing the control ward down, you told the enemy where you are, right? Because when they can see the control ward when you first place it. Like they can tell somebody placed the control ward in the dragon pit. They can tell that. So once you place the control ward there, they kind of know where you are. Once you hit the plant, they definitely know where you are. Right? They can see the plant through the fog of war. Like, so by hitting the plant, you're telling them where you are. And then again, by going here, when you hit the ward, it gives them vision. So when you hit the ward, they can see you. So that's 3 times you telling the enemy where you are. Once is the control ward, which I don't blame you. That's a good control ward. But I wouldn't have hit the plant, and I wouldn't have gone to clear this ward. I thought you were going to gank bot. Look, can we look at bot lane right now?
Missing from bot lane?
Yeah, that's a good gank. Assuming they're there. We don't actually know where Misfortune and Morgana are right now. But the wave is in a good spot. So if they want to get farm, they need to come up, and then you can gank them. That's what I thought you were going to do. But when you go in this dragon area, it's very dangerous because look at the map. You don't know where Silas is. You don't know where bot lane is. And you don't know where Jarvan is. So as you can see, I don't actually know what happens. We didn't play it, but it's just very dangerous, right? As you can see, you don't know where they are. So by clearing this ward, you're putting yourself in possible danger, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What you could be doing is, I thought you would gank bot. I would have maybe hovered around to see where is the bot lane, or you could just farm top side. You have your top camps right there. That's pretty. You're not really doing anything, but it's better than this. What you're doing here, yeah. Okay, yeah. You can press play.
Sure.
But yeah, he came right from that bush, so he was in that bush, and you see bot lane is coming now because they were missing, right? Looks like you guys.
Kind of turns into a fight.
Yeah. I mean, right now it doesn't look bad. Right now, where is your gangplank?
He's done.
Oh, okay. And then now it looks bad. Yeah, not great. Oh, I mean, you killed. Not bad, but not good. You know, it looks okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I got a mark out of it.
yeah, honestly, pretty good for you. But yeah, I still wouldn't have done it, but you know, in hindsight, it works. Oh, you get another kill here. It works fine for you. I mean, this is a different play technically.
Yeah.
Can we look at you? Yeah, you notice after he uses EQ, like he can't chase you anymore. If you know, that's good.
Mm.
Okay, can we look at? Oh, okay.
Good. 2 times it.
Yeah. Be yeah. Oh, can I look at you like as a default? Can I look at you? So you I think you double. Oh yeah, you can do that too.
Just that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So you, I guess it's okay. So here, I would consider the Rift Herald. You know why? We saw Jarvan bot. This is also okay. And then after this, I would also recommend Rift. I think you will. I think you will. Yeah. Okay.
I thought they were gonna go Drake here.
Oh, it's too late usually. So. Can you pause for a second? Can I look at top tower? The chaos. Oh, okay. This is not bad. Can I look at mid lane too?
Yeah.
Okay, no, you're good. You're good. Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
You want to turn back to?
Oh yeah, and press play. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
This is a bit of a fail there.
Oh yeah. In that case, go back. Yeah, let's play it at 1x speed. That should have been free. Go back again.
Go back?
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we failed. So, oh, you did kill her.
I thought that the referral was gonna break turret.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, it's close. It's close. So the plan should have been auto attack the tower. Don't auto attack Kale. Kill the tower first, and then deal with Kale. I think I forgot. I don't know who hit Kale first. It might have been you, but
it was Riven.
It's Riven. Okay. Not really your fault then. You know, basically you and Riven should be hitting the tower, and that's it. Yeah, but okay. Not gonna blame you then.
I thought the Riven was going to do that. Like, not as an excuse, obviously, but.
Oh no! I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's also why I said diving is not really recommended in lower elo, just because you never know. It's hard to coordinate with. Yeah.
on 2 times speed?
No, not right now. Can I look at mid? What's happening mid?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that your ult? Oh, yeah, I see. I was letting it. Why are you going? There's no dragon there, right? Or is there? I can't. Oh, there is. Okay.
They never took dragon.
Oh, they never took it. Can I look at you again? Oh. Usually, you don't want to dash. You don't want to use your Q if Morgana didn't use her Q. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're fine here, but usually. Okay, I like you being more aggressive with the Riven, right? Because Riven's strong. Your whole team is here. Yeah, this is much better. Normally, I would take all the jungle camps. Maybe okay, bronze. Your teammates might get angry. Because you want your jungle item, and you get more from the camps than they do if you take the camps.
Yeah.
Nice try. Can you go back? I want to see that fight again. The 15.
This one?
Yeah.
One more?
One more. Yeah. Okay. I would not have queued in. Do you see there when you queued in?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Q is like it's a hard spell to use in that sometimes you want to use it for damage, sometimes you want to use it for mobility, and sometimes, and most of the time, you want to use it for mobility, not the damage. So the Misfortune was gonna die there because where is Misfortune gonna go? Riven, no, she can't outrun a Riven. So you could try to auto Misfortune while avoiding Jarvan, and you save your Q for when Jarvan is about to hit you. So if Jarvan is about to hit you, then you Q away from him or you dodge his EQ like that, and then you might have been able to live there. Yeah. So you made the mistake like twice. Like you're queuing in just for some damage when you don't have to. Or it'd be better to save the Q to dodge Jarvan, to dodge Morgana, even dodge Silas. Like you can dodge a lot of things with the Q if you save it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think I got cute though.
Oh, I didn't actually see this. Okay, can we go back for this fight too? Go back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not bad this time because there wasn't much to dodge in that situation. So this one's not as bad. I mean, it turns out bad, I guess. You know, it turns out bad not because of your Q though. It's just because you guys are 2v4 in this case. So.
Should I 2 times?
Yeah, please. Oh, you got a lot of marks. If it rarely goes on Rift. So. Can we look at you?
Sometimes.
Oh, okay. Well, now, yeah. I usually Let me tell you. So right now it's almost 20 minutes. I usually stop the review at about 20. Basically because the jungle game is pretty much over. Now you're just playing the grouping game or the macro game, group split push kind of game. I mean, right now it's mostly the grouping game. And as you can see, you guys. If you lose this, I would be surprised. You could lose this, but right now you guys are 10k gold up. 10k gold up, 2 dragons. They have Kale. Kale would be the reason why you might lose, but... Oh, she's 7 and 5. Okay, no, you could still lose because of Kale, but other than Kale, I don't... Oh, Misfortune kind of. Yeah, okay. They have decent like carries that are fed, which is why I wouldn't say you win. But you're pretty well ahead right now. The game does go kind of long, so I could see you losing it. You know, I don't actually know, but either way, like I usually stop here because the most important part of the game for junglers is the early game. You know, that's where you make your plan. That's where you get your leads. Like if you play it really properly, like you'll have leads like this, and you know. But I leave it up to you. Like if you want to look, if you want me to look at other like the late game, I can. But it's just not much jungling going on. It's going to be more general league stuff. So what would you like to do? Would you like to continue, or would you like you think we could stop here? Or we could look at a certain fight if that also interests you. Like you could skip to like a certain fight if up to you really. I don't actually know what happens this game, so you know, right? So. It's up to you.
I guess the only like type of advice that I'd appreciate is like normally when it comes to late game, even when I have like a nice lead, I tend to lose it.
Yeah, that's
and it kind of like snowballs.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of common because you're playing Kindred, which you know, you're a squishy champion that if you get caught out, it could be bad for you. So general advice I would give, as if you're talking about Kindred specifically, is when you get to the late game, change your mindset that you are now an AD carry. So, you know, early game, you're not really an AD carry. You're a jungler, right? You're a jungler that you're very strong. You can 1v1 a lot of people. You can go places, and it's hard for the enemy to kill you, right? Because it's easy for you to run. You have your W, you have your Q. Sometimes you even have your ult to save you. But in the late game, that kind of changes. It's much, if you are caught by yourself or something, it's much easier for them to kill you. And it's harder for you to kill people by yourself because they get, like, what do you call it? They're grouped more. So let's say you find Jarvan in the jungle. It's not just Jarvan. Maybe it's all 5 people. So it's hard for you to like one just kill Jarvan by himself. But early game, if you find Jarvan in the jungle, most likely he's alone in the jungle because all the laners are in their lanes farming, right? If that makes sense. So for late game, for Kindred specifically, is you need to change your mindset that you are now an AD carry. So you need to play, usually that means you play less aggressive. So Kindred's actually very aggressive early game as a jungler. She can invade a lot of junglers. She can bully a lot of them. She can 1v1 a lot of people, but when you get to late game, you're not really looking to do that anymore. You're looking to be AD carry. So that means, I don't know if you play AD carry, but That means like you kind of want your team to like frontline for you. So in this game, you kind of want you have frontline. You want your Leona or Riven to like start the fight, and then you can hit anyone. Kindra's really good at killing tanks, so you can wait for Jarvan to engage on your team. Ideally not on you. You wait for Jarvan to engage on your Riven or your Gangplank, and when he engages, then you can hit Jarvan. But if you don't wait for Jarvan to engage, he might engage on you, and if he engages on you, it's pretty easy to kill you. I mean, it's not easy because you have your ult, true, but that means you have to waste your ult really early. And ideally, you don't want to ult early. Ideally, you want to play like an AD carry and only use your ult at the what do you call it? If you really need to, but you shouldn't like rely on it, if that makes sense. So that's my biggest tip for, at least if we're talking about Kindred late game. Yeah, change your mindset before you are an early game jungler, and then late game change it. You are now an AD carry. Rely on your team to frontline for you. Let your team get engaged on first. You can save your team from a bad engage, right, with your ults, and then also if your team gets engaged on, it's easy for you to freely auto attack. You can auto attack the tank. It's fine. Kindra's really good at killing tanks. Her W and E, and you also have Bark here, and you have Kraken, and you got Atlas Whisper. You melt. They don't even really have a tank. And Jarvan's their best tank, and he's not that tanky. Like, you can melt anyone on their team as long as you can auto attack them, right? So, yeah, that's my biggest tip. Play like an AD carry. It's a complete mind. You know, Kindred's quite unique in that sense. Is that early game she's like a invading bully, and then late game you change to these backline AD carry. Yeah, like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I guess like the only other question is like, I tend to be pretty bad with picking my builds occasionally.
Okay, let's
I'm
look
not
at
sure what would be considered tanky and whatnot.
Oh, what do you mean tanky? Like the enemy, or you? You want to be tanky, or you want
The enemy. I know the enemy. It's like for Kindred in particular, I don't know if I should ever go Shield Bow or Gale Force.
Oh, okay.
Kraken Slayer. I tend to default to Kraken Slayer a lot.
Okay, I mean, Kraken Slayer is good in like, I would say like 90% of 95% of games anyway, so that's good. You don't really, I would not recommend Shield Bow, just because you have your ult, and Shield Bow, it's okay, but I just don't see it for Kindred, because I remember Kindred is very strong early game, so you want your mythic to be aggressive. So Shield Bow is the most defensive mythic of the three, right? Shield Bow, Gale Force, Kraken. Shield Bow is the most defensive, but you only need defense in the late game. So you can build Kraken, and then if you need defense, build some other item like Bloodthirster or something. But yeah, so I would not recommend Shield Bow, because you want to be strong early game. That's when you want to be strong. Late game, you'll always be strong, just because you're Kindred. Kindred scales really well. So you can build defense late game. That's kind of how most champions work that way, in that they build offense first, and then they build defense later. Most champions work that way, but especially Kindred. So I would stick to Kraken most of the time. Like I said, 95% of the time. And when do you use Gale Force is when the enemy is really, really squishy. So you use Gale Force when you think you can kill the enemy champions in like 3 auto attacks. So it pairs really well with Press the Attack. So generally, Press the Attack, Gale Force, that's a good combo when you're against very squishy champions. And then most of the time, it's like Kraken Slayer plus Conqueror. That's the most of the time. That's always good. It's never bad. It's like Conqueror plus Kraken Slayer. So if you don't know what to go, I would just recommend just do that. Conqueror, Kraken Slayer. But if you want to be more adaptable, then yeah, I'm telling you some other builds like the Gale Force Press the Attack. That's a good combo if the enemy is all squishy. And then the last build I'll tell you about is Lethal Tempo. Lethal Tempo is good if the enemy is all tanky. So if the enemy is all tanky, you can proc. It's easy for you to proc your Lethal Tempo because they won't kill you, and you can. Tanky champions usually are easy to auto attack. Like think of Garen. Like they're really immobile, and usually. So think of like Garen. It's pretty easy to auto attack him. Like it's hard to kill him, but it's easy to auto attack him. And when you auto attack him, you're proccing your Lethal Tempo, and you want your lethal tempo to be max stacks, right? And then you get that extra range, and then it's really hard for the tanks to kill you when you have the lethal tempo. So
would I do lethal tempo into like 3 tanks and
I'd say
4
so.
tanks?
Sometimes even 2 tanks. So you have to think about who will you hit in the fight. Who will you hit? But lethal tempo has a weakness in that it's weaker than Conqueror in like invades. Like if you're invading and you're just fighting one person, you'd much rather have Conqueror. So it's more of like a scaling rune. Like you're going to kill the tanks in the team fights. So you have to think about, like in a champ select, right? When you see the champions, you have to think about who do you think you'll be autoing most this game. If most of the time you will be autoing tanks, then go lethal tempo. If most of the time you'll be hitting squishies, then go press the attack. And in most games, it's not all squishy and not all tank, right? Most games are like a balance, like this game. This game, they have 2 tanky champions and they have 3 squishy champions. So balanced games, usually you go Conqueror. So, like most games, I would recommend Conqueror like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then other items, I mean, there's 2 main Kindred builds. Do you go the same build every game, or how are you building?
I mean, I switch it up depending on what's on the enemy team and what kills me the most.
Okay, I mean that's kind of
So
how
like,
you should.
Wit's End I take when I die to AP.
Yeah. Wit's End, I wouldn't say it's probably Kindred's best item if they have AP damage. Like the gold efficiency of the item is the best on that Wit's End. So I would always build Wit's. I would always look to build Wit's End. Like, obviously you don't build it if they don't have much AP damage, but if they have even a good amount, I would generally build Wit's End because it's just really good. Like it gives good
value or later.
Yeah, value. Yeah, so it gives damage and defense. Like the value it gives for the gold you spend is really high. So usually build that. I don't actually recommend Blade that much. This game is okay. It's not that good. It's Blade. It's good against Jarvan. It's okay. Yeah, I don't usually recommend Blade. Blade. I mean, it's not bad, but let me think. This game. What else would I recommend? Something else. I would recommend Wit's End this game. So this game is a Wit's End game because Kayle, Sylas, and Morgana. That's a good amount of magic damage, and even MF's E is a little bit. And I would have done Wit's End here. Yeah. And Cleaver is not bad as well. I don't know if you ever tried Cleaver on Kindred.
Not often.
Not often, okay. Because I guess you built the last. Oh, you built Last Whisper, yeah. Cleaver is not bad too. Cleaver is more for tanks though, against tanks, because Cleaver makes you tanky, and it's still straight. It gives the same amount of armor pen as Last Whisper, but you have to stack it. So against tanks, remember, it's easy to auto attack tanks, so it's easy to stack it on tanks. So you can think about Cleaver in some games, yeah. And have you tried the crit build?
You mean with like Infinity Edge and
Yeah, something like that.
I've tried it in a couple of games.
How does
it goes well until I need Guardian Angel.
Oh, yeah. The problem with the crit build is you're squishy, and if they build armor, you need the Last Whisper. Yeah, that's the main weakness of the crit build. So, but I think most of the time you don't do the crit build, but you can do the crit build if you're super fed or if the enemy is squishy. Because if they're squishy, that you probably don't need to build Last Whisper, then the crit build can be pretty strong in that sense. Yeah.
Is an anti-heal something I can build on Kindred?
It is, but I mean, it is if no one else builds it. Yeah, you can. Like, what do you call it? Moral Reminder? It's not bad, but only if they have a lot of healing, right? Let me look. In this game, it is an option because Kayle, Jarvan, Sylas, they all heal a good amount. But I don't actually know in this game. Would you build it this game? Well, yeah, you are deciding right now, huh? Are you building the moral? What do you call it? Lord Dominic's or the Moral Reminder? Yeah, in this game it's not bad. You could go Moral Reminder this game. Just cut some healing. not super important in most games. I would say, like if you build it or you don't build it this game, I don't think it really matters. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's that one's harder to say. There. If you notice the enemy is not building much health, then you can just go for it. Like they have armor, but they don't have health. That's kind of rare, but sometimes that's the case. Like if they just have like Ninja Tab Eyes and like Guardian Angel, right? That's a lot of armor but no health. Then you can go for the heal cut, right? Because the what do you call the Lord Dominic's? It's only good if they have more health than you, right? So if they're not building health, then there's no point in that item. Then you can go the Mortal Reminder. Yeah, I don't. Honestly, this is not that important. This is because it's usually your first items that are super important, and then if we're talking about like heal cut, usually that's like your 5th item or something. I guess in this game it's your. Oh, in this game it's actually your 3rd item. But I definitely would recommend Wits End first here. So. No, I don't think it's that important. But yeah, that's my answer.